Are you paralyzed by anxiety? What if that crippling feeling is a mirage, a self-made illusion? Most people are trapped, not by visible chains, but by invisible thoughts they cultivate daily. The amazing thing? You can extinguish that fear in just 7 days. Skeptical? You learn to drive, type, maybe even fly a plane. Why not learn to control your mind? Notice how fear prevents simple steps that could change everything. You're unhappy at work but don't quit. You're in a toxic relationship but stay. You have a brilliant idea but never start. Why? Fear. But fear isn't the enemy, ignorance is. Fear thrives in the dark, without clarity, knowledge, direction. That was me. I was a firefighter, stable, secure, practically unfireable. It felt like a sanctuary, but inside, I was suffocating. I craved more, dreamt bigger, but fear held me back. Fear of the unknown, of failure, of financial ruin. It all made sense, until I realized my paralysis wasn't fear itself, but a lack of understanding. People say, "I'm too scared," when they really mean, "I don't know how." That changes everything, doesn't it? Fear exists only where understanding is absent. It inhabits the voids in your knowledge. A child fears the dark because they don't know what's there. Turn on the light, and the fear vanishes. That's you. Maybe you fear changing careers, starting a business, ending a relationship, public speaking, expressing your true self. But do you truly understand the fear's roots? Do you know what needs doing, or are you avoiding even thinking about it? People spend years running from a single decision. Your body knows it. Your mind knows it. Your spirit shrinks. Life stalls. Feel it? Like your life is on hold, an invisible force pulling you back. That force is ignorance. The cure? Simple, knowledge. Not just any knowledge, but the kind that breeds understanding, a deep understanding that transforms you from the inside out. Reading Think and Grow Rich was a turning point. It wasn't just a book, it was a portal, introducing a new way of thinking. With each page, my fear lessened because I understood. I understood paradigms, how thoughts create emotions, emotions create actions, and actions create the results I hated. I went from a stuck, unqualified, hopeless firefighter to building my own business, earning over 6 figures in my first year, a far cry from barely making ends meet. The key wasn't blind courage, but profound clarity. You don't conquer fear by yelling at it, you illuminate its cause, which is almost always, you don't know how. Understanding your mind grants you power. When you grasp your subconscious, where habits reside, you realize most fears aren't even yours, they're implanted, repeated, reinforced for years. Don't do that, it's risky. You weren't born for this. It'll fail. These phrases program you. But this program can be rewritten. You can train your mind to respond with faith, not fear, with action, not paralysis. What if it fails, you might think. I ask, what if it succeeds? Have you even considered that? Einstein said a mind that opens to a new idea never returns to its original size. This is happening to you now. You're accessing new possibilities, creating space where fear no longer reigns. I'm not saying fear vanishes, you learn to control it, to say, I understand you, but I'm doing it anyway. It's like learning to swim. Initially, you resist, fear arises, but when you understand buoyancy, movement, breathing, fear yields to confidence. Understanding replaces panic with presence, doubt with decision, fear with action. Start now. 7 days. 7 days to study yourself, to record your fears, to understand what they hide. 7 days to discover a power that was never fear, but something you didn't yet know. Now you do. When something bothers us, our first impulse is to silence, repress, hide it. Most people live as if showing conflict is wrong. They pretend everything's fine while exploding inside. What happens to that trapped emotional energy? It transforms. First into anxiety, then depression, finally disease. Many believe depression strikes suddenly, but it's built brick by brick, from unresolved thoughts. It starts subtly, a worry, a doubt, What if? If unaddressed, it grows, feeding negativity until it becomes anxiety, your body mirroring your racing, directionless mind. Because no one likes vulnerability, you pretend, suppress, lock it down. This fear-tainted energy gets trapped. This nearly broke me. When my first business boomed, I was internally tense, fearing it would all end, feeling inadequate. Not understanding, I buried it in work, but that anxiety was my soul screaming, "Look at this." That knot in your throat? Chest tightness? Racing mind at night? It's not random, it's emotional build-up. Ignoring it is the worst path. What you ignore controls you. Suppressed anxiety becomes depression. Depression doesn't begin with tears, it begins with a heavy, screaming silence. Then everything crumbles. Your body suffers, your energy drains, you're exhausted doing nothing, and you isolate yourself. Why? Because you haven't learned to recognize the signs. The World Health Organization knows this. Over 300 million people live with depression, many never seeking help, not because they didn't want to, but because they didn't know where to start. How many times have you said, "I'm fine," when you were falling apart? Most people don't fear pain, they fear admitting pain, believing it makes them weak. It's the opposite. Strength lies in facing your feelings, looking inside and saying, "I'm scared, lost, but I want to understand." The source is almost always uncontrolled negative thoughts fueled by ignorance of your own mind. Emotions don't vanish by pretending they don't exist, they accumulate, and your body pays the price. When worry takes hold, don't ignore it, it's the first warning, where you have the most power. Don't let it become anxiety, depression, disease. Healing starts with awareness. Recognizing what you feel takes away the controller's power. Worry is fear disguised as logic. I'm just being responsible. I'm thinking of the worst-case scenario. But you're letting assumptions control you, empowering them. Question your thoughts. Is this real or manufactured? Is this happening now or imagined? Am I in control, or feeding a mental drama? Ask these often, write down answers. This simple practice prevents deep anxiety and depression cycles, restoring a lightness you'd forgotten. I've seen this with people who came to me lost, suffocating. After understanding the worry, fear, anxiety, repression, depression cycle, it was like a light switch. They stopped fighting symptoms and treated the cause, a lack of understanding how thoughts shape reality. You're not anxious, you are anxious, and you can stop being so. This happens when you stop running and start learning, understanding, transforming. This is the difference between a silent pain cycle and a conscious healing cycle. The choice is always yours. Faith and fear require the same thing, believing in something unseen. Faith says, believe it'll work, even without proof. Fear says, believe it'll fail, even if it hasn't. Both live in the invisible, feeding on your imagination. The difference is the movie playing in your mind. Most people treat fear as natural, automatic, uncontrollable, but that's false. Fear reflects where you focus, a choice. You may not realize it initially, as your mind is programmed to imagine the worst, but once you understand, you can change the script. When you realize you're the author of your daily self-narrative, everything changes. This is where faith enters, not religious faith, but an inner strength based on understanding, not blind hope, faith built on how your mind operates, how thoughts create feelings, and how feelings shape your external reality. When I applied these principles, I was ordinary, uneducated, unconnected, inexperienced. I had a book, a desire to change, and a choice, believe I could or stay stuck. My logic said it was impossible, nothing indicated success. But I chose to believe, not because of proof, but because I understood how the universe responds to your vibration. Faith based on understanding shifts your vibration. Know someone with every advantage but always stuck, paralyzed by fear. Gigantic potential trapped in self-created scenarios? Their faith is misdirected. Fear is faith invested in tragedy. Years of feeding such thoughts leads to believing it's your destiny. It isn't, it's a reflection of your chosen imaginations, repetitions, and feelings. This can be altered. Consider Walt Disney. He was fired from a newspaper for lacking creativity. the creator of a creative empire rejected for lack of creativity. Had he believed that label, fed the fear, given up, you wouldn't know him. He believed in the invisible, he had faith in something unseen. This faith shaped his reality. How many ideas have you abandoned? How many times have you self-sabotaged before even trying? Because you chose to believe the worst. How many feared things actually happened? How many existed only in your head? Neuroscience shows the brain doesn't clearly distinguish reality from intensely imagined scenarios. Imagining failure and engaging emotionally creates a physical response: racing heart, altered breathing, weakened immunity. Reverse it. Imagine success, victory. You'll feel an immediate shift, your body aligns with the idea, your vibration changes. This is real. And the universe responds to your vibration, not your spoken desires, but your heart's beliefs. If you say you want to win but feel fear, fear is in charge. The results reflect that. You can change this now. Literally now. But you need to train this new way of thinking. It won't happen overnight, but in 7 days, you'll feel the first signs of transformation. How? Intentionally replace each fearful thought with a faith-based thought rooted in understanding. When fear arises, and it will, ask, what am I believing? Is this fact or a negative hypothesis? Then choose the opposite, reinforce the positive vision, feel it as if it's already happening. This is the practice, it becomes your new identity. When that happens, you create life from faith, and well-nourished faith builds realities once deemed impossible. Will you keep believing the worst, knowing fear is a choice? Or will you use this same power to believe in the best and build a new reality? The decision, as always, is yours. Your body perfectly expresses your mind. This isn't philosophy, it's science. Every thought, every idea you accept as truth alters your body's vibration, shaping your behavior, speech, movement, life. A mental state of tension, worry, and fear results in fatigue, stiffness, pain, recurring illnesses. Calm, confidence, and clarity bring lightness, energy, and health. Decades ago, I discovered the work of Russian scientist Semyon Kurlian, who developed a technique to photograph the energy emanating from the human body. This energy changed color, density, and form based on the person's thoughts. Positive, focused thoughts produced bright, vibrant energy, negative, confused, or dark thoughts weakened and dulled the energy. What does this mean? Your thoughts don't stay in your head, they shape your energy, which you transmit to the world. Know someone who enters a room and changes the atmosphere? A smiling, eye-contacting, present person who makes everyone more comfortable? That's not coincidence, it's vibration. Conversely, some people create a heavy atmosphere without speaking, simply through their demeanor, that's vibration too. This vibration is created invisibly, in the mind, before manifesting physically. Understanding this changes everything. You stop being a victim of external circumstances and adjust the source of your reality, your vibration. When you're good inside, everything flows smoothly outside. People treat you better, opportunities appear, ideas flow clearly. When you're down, confused, insecure, everything seems to jam. Traffic worsens, problems arise, objects seem to conspire against you. This isn't coincidence, it's resonance. You're tuning your life to your inner vibration. Harvard Medical School research shows positive emotions like gratitude, optimism, and purpose increase dopamine and serotonin, well-being neurotransmitters, while reducing cortisol, the stress hormone. Your physical body directly responds to your thoughts' quality. If your body reflects your mind, what's it saying about you today? Lightness or tension? Vitality or silent exhaustion? Few ask this question, but it changes everything. A negative answer doesn't require an external solution, a miracle, or radical life changes, it needs internal realignment. This starts with small daily decisions. When you wake, what are your first 10 minutes like? Are you programming yourself for another day of pressure, rush, and fear? Or are you intentionally controlling your mental state? Most people react upon waking, grabbing their phone, seeing bad news, work problems, bills, immediately triggering their body's alert system, racing heart, stiff shoulders. But what if you started consciously? Deep breaths. Focusing on what you want to feel. Choosing how to act. This alone changes your vibration, and a shifted vibration elicits different responses from the world. Years ago, a young man came to me lacking energy, motivation, and direction. Apparently healthy. Young, with a good job, but without sparkle. Feeling constantly drained, even after a full night's sleep. It's a common story. We often mistake exhaustion for a problem in the world, when it's really a problem within ourselves. This man I knew, let's call him Mark, was a prime example. He'd greet each day with a palpable sense of dread, a feeling of being stuck on a treadmill to nowhere. His body screamed for respite, and the negativity of his morning mindset poisoned his entire day. We worked together, slowly rewiring his perspective. It wasn't about grand gestures, but subtle shifts. We focused on positive visualization, affirmative self-talk, the real kind, not just empty platitudes, and importantly, directing his attention to what he wanted to feel not what he wanted to avoid. The transformation wasn't instantaneous, but within weeks, a noticeable change blossomed. His colleagues remarked on his newfound lightness, his newfound equilibrium. He eventually shared something profound: I used to think the world was the problem. Now I see it was my approach to the world. That's the crux of it, isn't it? You don't need to change the world, change your energy. And that begins with your thoughts. If you're weighed down by fatigue, by a lack of vitality, understand this: it's fixable. No miracle cures, just conscious awareness, genuine self-understanding, and a commitment to purpose. Choose your thoughts, choose your feelings, your body will follow. It always aligns with the directives of your mind. The real antidote to fear isn't brute force willpower or motivational slogans, but deep understanding. Fear thrives in confusion, and confusion is the absence of clarity. What you understand, you control. What you don't understand, controls you. This isn't about hoarding information, it's about applying it. In today's world, people are drowning in data, in courses left unopened, in knowledge that remains inert. They are stuck because they haven't learned to use that knowledge. Knowledge without application is dead weight. Transformation happens when understanding becomes a lived experience, when you know something and feel it as truth, changing your behavior accordingly. This wasn't a theoretical concept for me, I lived it. I was once the poster child for lost cause, a high school dropout, stuck in dead-end jobs, lacking discipline and direction. The quintessential paycheck-to-paycheck guy, dreaming small, making excuses. But then I started exploring the mechanics of the mind. Gradually, radically, everything changed. I realized my results weren't random, they were precise reflections of my internal belief system, a system badly out of alignment. Nobody had ever taught me how to think only how to memorize, repeat, and obey. No one taught me to form powerful ideas, challenge my limitations, plant a new vision in my mind. The mind is like a garden, I learned. If you don't intentionally plant, weeds take over, automatic negative thoughts, fears, traumas, limiting beliefs that aren't even yours. The worst part? You get used to it. You start thinking it's your nature, when it's simply a lack of understanding. Millions live like this, labeling themselves as having low self-esteem, lack of focus, or bad luck, when the real issue is a lack of self-awareness. Misunderstanding becomes your prison. Everything you desire lies beyond your current level of understanding. Want more money? Understand how money flows. Want better health? Understand what impacts your well-being. Want more peace? Understand the source of your internal noise. By applying this principle, I went from earning just over $4,000 a year to over $1 million in under 5 years, no fancy degree, no powerful connections, no formal business plan. What changed? My mind, and how it processed ideas. I transitioned from passively reacting to automatic thoughts to consciously creating my reality. This isn't magic, it's mental mechanics. Understanding not only dissolves fear but ignites an unshakable faith, a faith rooted in knowledge, not blind hope. It's the confidence that comes from knowing how things work. It's like learning to fly a plane. At first, it's terrifying. But once you understand the controls, fear gives way to exhilaration. Life is the same. The more you understand its workings, the more confidently you navigate it. And the best part? This understanding is accessible to everyone. The human mind is malleable, it changes. Change your mind. Change your energy, change your energy, change your results. But there's a price: responsibility. A commitment to learning, self-discovery, and consistent practice. It's like learning a new language. At first, it feels alien, then it starts to click, and eventually, you're fluent. The language of understanding is similar: initial strangeness, then self-discovery, then liberation. Stop searching for magic bullets, seek clarity. Clarity about who you are, how your mind works, what fuels your fears, your blocks, and your outcomes. Understanding equals mastery. When you master your mind, you shift from asking, "What if?" to choosing, "How?" That's the difference between a limited life and a fulfilling one. This choice, to live with understanding, is the most powerful you can make. Most people remain shackled to the past, not by the past itself, but by how they interpret it. How often have you recalled a past mistake and said, "This always happens to me"? How often has a past failure justified inaction? These are subtle poisons, slowly seeping into your mind, shaping your present based on non-existent emotional patterns. This almost stopped me from transforming my own life. I had a crippling self-image, not because of reality, but because of what I believed to be true about myself. Years of hearing, "That's not for people like you, life is hard, be content with what you have," had taken their toll. Until I realized, my only limitation was the image I projected onto myself, an image built on distorted memories, the words of people who didn't know better, and unprocessed negative experiences. Have you done this? Taken a single negative episode and turned it into a label defining who you are? Science shows the brain doesn't record facts like a camera, it reinterprets, reconstructs, blends emotion, perception, belief, and creates a narrative. That narrative becomes your self. But is that self real, or a distorted version built on unresolved memories? I discovered I could rebuild that image. I stopped being the undisciplined dropout, and became the man who built a global company, changed thousands of lives, and created a new story. Not because the past changed, but because I changed the meaning I gave it. Maybe you're trapped by something that should have been released years ago, an old shame, an unforgiven failure, a silently carried trauma believed to define you. But understand, the past only exists as long as you keep telling the same story. Change the story, change the impact. Change the impact, change the emotion. Change the emotion, change the energy. Change the energy, change your present and your future. Remember the principle? Everything in the subconscious manifests in the body. Unprocessed past trauma manifests as physical and emotional weight, tension in your shoulders, sudden anxiety, a lack of motivation. But what if you chose to view those memories with fresh eyes? Not as punishment, but as lessons. Not as labels, but as fuel. Not as prison, but as a launchpad. Viktor Frankl, the Holocaust survivor, said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Choose, right now, to give new meaning to what has shaped you. When you do, something magical happens, the past loses its power to paralyze. It becomes a lesson, a foundation, not a prison. This doesn't mean erasing what happened, it means refusing to carry it as part of your identity. You are not what hurt you, you are what you choose to build from it." I challenge you, over the next 7 days, choose one negative memory. Observe it clearly. Write down what you learned. Then, write a new version, one that empowers, not destroys. Read this new version daily, aloud. Be amazed by the impact on your energy, confidence, and inner freedom. What you understand, you transform. The past is a field waiting to be replanted by you. Fear only has power where understanding is lacking. When you understand how your mind works, how your emotions form, how your beliefs shape you, you are no longer controlled, you control. You realize you no longer need to react automatically, carry the weight of the past, or let negative thoughts make your decisions. You have clarity. And clarity is freedom. If this resonated with you, then it's time to move forward. Watch the video on screen to take another step on your journey and become a slightly better version of yourself. Thank you for joining me. Until next time.